This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Thanks. So today we have already discussed osteomyelitis previously. ఎందువల్ల పోతుంది అలాగా ఇందాక అలా పోయి అట్లా ఓకే so we have previously discussed osteomyelitis. If you like it has been long time. If you want another revision, please let me know. I'll take at the end again. Today we'll discuss the pathology of bone tumors. Most of them will be asked as the short notes for you. So generally bone tumors have no obvious cause for a long-term exposure of ionizing radiation and few predisposing chronic diseases like chronic osteomyelitis, trauma which is non-healing for a long duration, Paget's disease, fibrous dysplasia. Okay, then specifically retinoblastoma gene syndrome, RB gene plays a very major role in bone tumors because mutation of RB gene. What for RB gene? Can you all tell me? Do you remember anything about RB gene? What is its importance? It is a tumor suppressor gene. So this particular tumor suppressor gene, when it is undergoing mutation, what happens? It prevents the proliferation of malignant cells, tumor cells. So this plays in most of the tumors, it plays an important role, but specifically in bone tumors, especially osteosarcoma, this retinoblastoma gene plays a major role. Almost 70% people are affected, undergo RB gene mutation. Okay, usually it is associated with Gardner syndrome, Olliers disease also. Generally, bone tumors are of a very rare number, that is, they are comprising of less than 1% of total tumors of whole body. In organ wise, if you check, the frequency of bone tumors is very less, but of which less than 1% actually, comprising of 0.5% of the cancer deaths in total. 40% of them are malignant and 60% are benign. Most of them are benign. Okay, the major part is the benign tumors. They can be primary or secondary. Secondary means metastatic. Primary usually occurs in a younger population, and secondary, as we all know, it is metastatic, so occurs in an older age group. The most common ones are breast, kidney, lung, thyroid, and prostate. Prostate actually they present with bone mets. Prostate and kidney, usually the patient presents with the spinal metastasis. Okay, then there will be apart from bone, there will be marrow neoplasms like myeloma, leukemia, and lymphoma. We study them in hematology. So what are the primary bone tumors? Bone producing tumors, which are the benign part are osteoma, osteoid osteoma, and osteoblastoma. The malignant counterpart is osteosarcoma. Cartilage producing tumors are osteochondroma and enchondroma, chondromyxoid fibroma, chondroblastoma. The malignant counterpart is chondrosarcoma. We are not going to learn all of them, but few of them will be discussed. And the miscellaneous part, Ewing sarcoma and giant cell tumor of bone, both are asked as a short note for you. So there are conditions like tumor-like conditions actually, which are cystic lesions, simple bone cysts, and any aneurysmal bone cysts. Okay, and multiple lesions do occur in fibrous dysplasia, eosinophilic granuloma. Also, you have giant cell proliferation. Actually, there will be plenty of osteoclast type of giant cells which are crowded in nature, and so there will be multiple lesions. Okay, so which is osteoma. Generally, they are solitary, occurring in middle-aged, usually in the craniofacial region. They are subperiosteal or endosteal, usually benign, and it is just a reactive bone. Actually, if you see here, this particular nasal cavity, you can see this bone and this reactive, this is the tumor-like thing which is protruding into the nasal cavity. If you see the arrow, please, what I'm showing, that is an osteoma, usually occurring in the nasal cavity, and it is no way different from the normal bone. If you see, if you observe carefully the part, even in histology also, we do see a normal bone. So it means it is an hamartomatous proliferation of the bony part. Thereby, what do we find? It is a reactive bone actually. Okay? It is a hamartomatous growth of a bone. Histologically, it is composing of woven as well as a lamellar bone. Closely, it resembles the normal bone. There are Gardner syndrome is associated with multiple osteomas. Actually, huge number, total body, there will be multiple osteomas. Along with it, you see osteochondroma, GIT polyps, skin lesions, skin tumors, colonic cancer. It is an autosomal dominant disorder, Gardner syndrome, which can be asked as a very short note for you. Coming to osteoid osteoma, it is benign tumor. Usually osteoid osteoma and osteoblastoma, they differ in size. Osteoid osteoma, usually it is less than 2 centimeters in size and more common in the long bones, that is femur or tibia. Whereas osteoblastoma is more than 2 centimeters in size and do occur in the spinal part. Okay, both of them are highly painful tumors, markedly painful. Even aspirin does not suppress its pain because of high level of prostaglandin levels, which are being secreted by the osteoblastic tumor cells. The proliferating tumor cells secrete prostaglandin, which produces high pain. The lesion itself is painful. Histologically, what do we see? I'll show you the picture, then you can understand. You can see this is a radiograph of the lesion, the excised lesion, where you are seeing a central thickened mineralized part with the which is surrounded by an abundant reactive bone. Okay, this is the radiograph of the excised lesion which we get it. Okay, so here we are seeing the histopathology where multiple strands of the bone. This is the bone. These are all multiple strands of irregular connecting bone. Okay, and surrounded by the stroma, which is very much edematous. You can see stroma and comprising of blood vessels of varying size. Okay, the connective tissue is so edematous and highly vascularized, and strands of haphazardly interconnecting trabeculae of woven bone, which are lined by, if you see here, they are being lined by osteoblasts. Here, clear? All of them, like a pavement, you are seeing the sides of the osteoid tissue, the woven bone, you are seeing the tumor cells. Clear? Osteoblastoma is similar to osteoid osteoma, as we have just discussed. It is also called as giant osteoid osteoma. It is more than 2 centimeters in size and common in vertebral column. Histologically, both are the same, and osteoblastoma can be locally aggressive. Both of them are cured, therapeutically, they are resected and treated with a bone graft. So this is also osteoid osteoma, where nicely in a close-up pic than previous one. This is all the stroma, edematous stroma, and this is the bony part, which is lined by the tumor cells, the osteoblastic tumor cells, which are benign actually, bland. They are appearing bland. You don't see any mitotic activity, any bizarreness, any pleomorphism. Nicely, sorry. This is the bony part surrounded by edematous stroma. Okay. Coming to the cartilage, benign cartilaginous tumor, which can be also frequently asked, and we have seen a lot of cases in our ashram itself. Osteochondromas, they can be sessile or pedunculated, ranging from 1 centimeter to 20 centimeters. They can be larger in size. Okay, they are identified by a thick hyaline cartilaginous cap. The cap can be of varying size. If I show you the picture, I think you will better understand. You see here, usually it presents near the epiphyseal plate. Sorry. Okay, this is a stalk where this is the stalk, if you see, and you can see the protrusion. It is enlarging in size, and you can see the cartilaginous cap here. Okay, and it is connected to the bone with the marrow counterpart. If you see the same here in an X-ray, you are seeing the stalk here. Okay, and this is the lesion, a polypoidal lesion outgrowth, where you are seeing this is the cartilaginous, bluish cartilaginous cap with a bony trabeculae with the downward growth of the bone, and this is the marrow element. Marrow usually contains lot of adipose tissue with interspersed marrow elements. Okay, so here we are, that's why we are seeing a loose edematous mature adipose tissue also. Okay, so what did we see there? A cap composing of benign hyaline cartilage of varying thickness. It can be varying. Sometimes it will be thin, sometimes it will be very thick. In the pic we are showing, it is actually very thick and is covered peripherally by a perichondrium, and the cartilage has appearance of organized growth plate, which can undergo enchondral ossification, thereby making a newer bone forming the inner side of the skull. So this cartilaginous part itself is undergoing enchondral ossification, and you are seeing the downward growth of the bony part. Clear? Coming to osteosarcoma, it is mostly asked as an essay question. Please listen carefully and go through your book after the class is finished. Osteosarcoma is the most common primary tumor of the bone. Okay, it is usually seen in a younger age group, that is 10 to 25 years. It can occur in a later age because of secondary, which is secondary to previous irradiation or Paget's disease. But most common age group is around 10 to 25 years. The common location is metaphysis of long bones near the knee joint, especially. They usually present as a painful, progressively enlarging mass, and very unusually, they can also present directly with a fracture of the bone as a first symptom. Coming to the pathogenesis, what are we seeing here? This is the normal. This is the normal pathogenesis. Normal maturation, where mature stem cell transforming itself into osteoblastic precursor, which transforms itself into pre-osteoblasts. They do form mature osteoblasts further into the osteocytes. Yeah, this is the normal maturation cycle. But here what happens in osteosarcoma? It can undergo a germline mutation or a sporadic mutation. So in germline mutations usually affect the mature stem cell, whereas sporadic mutations do affect the pre-osteoblasts. What happens is, commonly, as we have previously discussed, the retinoblastoma gene is the primary one which is being involved, or else P53. What type of gene is P53? We know it is a Gaudian gene. Okay, what does it do? It is associated with the repair mechanism of any damaged cell. What happens if it is getting mutated? The damage is not being repaired. Whatever damage is occurring, it is not being repaired. Thereby, the cell with that particular mutation is proliferating multiple times, producing a tumor. Okay, so you please remember P53 and RB1 gene. Along with it, there are also other genes. So just rushing through what we have discussed, approximately 70% of osteosarcoma have acquired genetic abnormalities. Okay, the molecular studies of these tumors have mutations in retinoblastoma gene, which is usually a negative regulator, that is a tumor suppressor gene of the cell cycle. RB mutations are present in 70% of sporadic osteosarcomas. P53 gene functions usually as a Gaudian gene, thereby promoting DNA repair and apoptosis of irreversibly damaged cells. But this function is not taking place if at all this particular gene is being mutated. P16-INK4A. This gene actually, it codes two genes, P16 as well as P14. P16 is a negative regulator of cyclin-dependent kinase, and P14 also stops the function of P53. So these two genes are very, very dangerous genes. They are also involved in case of cervical carcinoma, where HPV related cervical carcinoma, usually this particular gene is involved. I have actually done a study on that and with a special marker in our department. Therefore, we found it that the P16 linking is very common in a cervical carcinoma. The next one is MDM2 and cyclin dependent kinase, which are also cell cycle regulators that inhibit P53 and RB functions respectively. So everything is interlinked finally with retinoblastoma gene and P53 gene, as we have seen. Okay. So there are several types of subtypes of osteosarcoma. According to the site of origin, it can be intramedullary, intracortical, or surface. Histologically, it can be a low-grade tumor or a high-grade tumor based on the mitotic activity. It can be primary or a secondary due to a pre-existing cause, like that of a benign tumor transforming itself into an osteosarcoma, or a Paget's disease, or a long-term bony infarct, or history of previous radiation where the mutation has taken place because of some pre-existing disorder, which is the secondary cause. Otherwise, it is called primary, where you don't find any respective etiology. Histological features, it can be osteoblastic, chondroblastic, fibroblastic, telangiectatic, small cell, or giant cell. Osteoblastic usually have the osteoblasts themselves produce the bony part, which is very classical lacy growth pattern. I'll show you the picture, which is very classical, and this is the most common variety. Chondroblastic is that the tumor cells themselves produce cartilage. Okay, so it is found in a background of cartilage undergoing myxoid degeneration. Similarly, fibroblastic, where the fibroblasts are found more in number in a bony tumor. Telangiectatic means highly vascular tumor. There are number of blood vessels and sparsely scattered bizarre tumor cells. Small cell indicates that it is the cell size is very much smaller in nature. Giant cell are, you find multinucleated giant cells as well as mononuclear giant cells in the tumor. Okay. So very characteristic of the X-ray, you find a Codman's triangle where this, if you see here, there is an, I'm showing the pointing out the arrow where elevation of the periosteum is seen, giving it a triangular shape, the triangular shadow between the cortex and the raised ends of the periosteum, which characteristically form a Codman's triangle, and it is indicative of an aggressive tumor. Okay. It is though characteristic of osteosarcoma, but not very particular it is diagnostic. Okay, this is all the lesional part. If you see in an X-ray, this is the Codman's triangle with entirely, this is all, whatever you are seeing the shadow, this is entirely this particular, this is the growth. Okay, this is the tumor part. If you see, usually osteosarcomas are bulky tumors, very huge, bulky tumors, very huge mass. Okay, they are gray white in color with extensive areas of hemorrhage, and this is undergoing a cystic degeneration filled with a blood clot, areas of hemorrhage and undergoing cystic degeneration. To show you the cystic degeneration, I have kept a part, and it is also destroying the cortical region. Okay, and it is producing a soft tissue mass, extending, it is entering outside, producing a huge soft tissue mass. They also extensively infiltrate the medullary canal, okay, extending into the inner side. The tumor is moving outside as well as to the inside and trying to replace the marrow. You can find the difference where the gray white thing is itself found here also. It is trying to replace the hematopoietic marrow. The tumor cells penetrate even sometimes the epiphyseal plate as well as the joint cavity attaching to the tendon ligament. If you see here, it is near the growth plate from the metaphyseal. Though it is the major part is the metaphyseal region, it is trying to infiltrate into the joint where the growth plate is. It is almost reaching here actually, not being still affected, but very occasionally it do affect the joint cavity also. Histologically, here you are seeing tumor cells of varying size. Okay, all these are tumor cells. You can see all of them are not of same size, of varying size, and these are the mitotic activity. You can see a triangular atypical mitosis here. Okay, nicely. This is also a mitotic activity. You can see vascular invasion, but not in this picture. Here you are seeing the tumor cells with neoplastic bone, which is very characteristic. Actually, this is fine. As you have seen previously, normal bone, it is, but this is more fine, thicker, and some lace-like pattern. Okay, you can see the thready lace-like pattern. It is it can be sometimes deposited in broadsheets also. You can see the tumor cell is showing a prominent nucleoli, plenty of atypical mitosis. You do see usually vascular invasion and extensive necrosis. Okay, you can see the bony part again, more thready in a more closer view. Okay, more thready, and these are the tumor cells which are more bizarre. You can see nicely their enlarged nucleus. Okay, you can see more cellular and more fibroblastic also. You can see spindly nature of the tumor cells here, and a less bony part, and this thready bony material. Okay, I mean lace-like characteristic osteoid forming. This is telangiectatic variety, where you are seeing the sheets of tumor cells with large vascular spaces filled with blood. Okay, this is the cytological aspiration, where when aspirated you see plasmacytoid type of cells as well as poorly scattered, and you can see nicely bizarre. They are all not of same size. Each cell varies from the other cell size. Okay, so definitely, and having a prominent nucleoli. Background is showing pale proteinaceous material. Okay, osteosarcomas are generally treated with a multimodality approach, including neoadjuvant chemotherapy, which is given under assumption that all patients have occult metastasis at the time of diagnosis. You need not do anything; directly give him a chemotherapy prior to surgery. Preoperatively, then 5-year survival rate is associated with 60% of the cases, but recurrence is usually common and has a poor prognosis. Coming to chondrosarcoma, which is the next common sarcoma to osteosarcoma. It do occur in older adults, 30 to 60 years of age group. Usually common site is axial skeleton, pelvic, pectoral girdles, ribs and spine. Prediction for involvement of metaphyseal is also seen. This is more aggressive tumor, erodes and invades the soft tissue, and metastasis is frequently seen here. Here you find malignant cartilaginous tumor with more anaplastic chondrocytes in space, with focal areas of enchondral ossification and calcification. Sometimes we feel difficulty in differentiating the chondroblastic variant of osteosarcoma with the chondrosarcoma. We need to go through the X-ray with the CT. We do correlate all bone tumors with X-ray and CT findings. Histopathology in correlation with the CT and X-ray findings is very essential. Thereby, we can give a better report. Grade 1 tumors, usually there will be survival rate of 90%, whereas the higher grade poorly differentiated tumors have a poor prognosis. But very much differentiating feature of a osteosarcoma from a chondrosarcoma is that these tumors are resistant to chemotherapy, and directly they have to undergo surgical resection. So differentiating it from a chondroblastic variant of osteosarcoma to a chondrosarcoma is very much required, very much essential thing in the part of treatment. Okay, so initially what do? They do aspirate it, and we make a cell block and make a histopathology, identify what it is, and thereby they proceed to the treatment, because neoadjuvant chemotherapy is the chemotherapy which is given prior to surgical excision actually, which makes a reduction in the tumor size for osteosarcoma. Clear? Here also we have lot of varieties actually: dedifferentiated chondrosarcoma, clear cell chondrosarcoma, fibroblastic. We have lot of varieties which you need not know actually. But one variety which is having better prognosis is clear cell variant of chondrosarcoma. Okay, this is the cartilaginous, slightly bluish nature. You can see here the cartilaginous thing here gray, but here it is gray white. Okay, undergoing calcification with a gritty ring. You can see nicely histopathologically. Okay, these are bluish nodules of myxoid cartilaginous cells. These are all chondroblasts. Okay, closely packed. It is more cellular when compared to this one. It is more cellular. Here you can see plenty of elevated mitotic activity also. Okay, the tumor cells appear more bizarre here. Clear, but they are chondrocytes. To that extent, you are able to differentiate. Okay. So what are the differentiating features of osteosarcoma and chondrosarcoma? Osteosarcoma, it is 10 to 25 years of age group. Commonly, chondrosarcoma occur in greater than 40 years of age group. Usually, osteosarcoma affects long bones, whereas chondrosarcoma affects the axial skeleton. Chondrosarcoma is sensitive to chemotherapy, whereas, osteosarcoma is sensitive to chemotherapy, whereas chondrosarcoma is not sensitive to chemotherapy. Please remember these 3 points. Coming to one frequently asked question to you, that is osteoclastoma, very frequently asked, a giant cell tumor which is having uncertain histiogenesis. The common location is at the lower end of the femur and otherwise the lower end of the tibia. Usually it arises in the epiphyseal region of the long bones, very much close to the articular cartilage. The common age of occurrence is also in between 20 to 40 years of age group. Radiologically, the most characteristic feature is the soap bubble appearance due to a lobulated lytic lesion. We'll see the pictures. Microscopically, you find numerous sheets of multinucleated giant cells with stromal cells. Actually, the tumor cells are the stromal mononuclear cells. It is called a giant cell tumor because, or an osteoclastoma because, the multinucleated giant cells are generally the osteoclasts are more in number. You can see here the X-ray part where you can see nicely a lytic lesion, an irregular lytic lesion. You can see the separations, thin separations here, clear. Grossly, it reveals an irregular dark red to black colored hemorrhagic mass in an epiphyseal region. Okay. So what you see here, giant cell tumor composing of plenty of all these. This is a multinucleate. You can see more than 100 actually. More than, generally it is called that, but if you count, okay, osteoclast will have nearing to 100. I don't say more than 100. It will be 50 to 100 nuclei within them. So plenty of osteoclasts. You can see this is an osteoclast, this is an osteoclast, this is an osteoclast, this is an osteoclast. There is this in a background of individual mononuclear cells. These mononuclear cells are actually the tumor cells. They are spindle to oval cells. You can see, okay. Some of them are spindly in shape, spindle to oval cells, sheets of spindle to oval cells. With a scattered giant cell, multinucleated osteoclast type of giant cells. Okay. So, sorry, this is actually a benign tumor and surgical excision is the treatment of choice. But still, this particular tumor is highly recurrent also. You can find the recurrence very frequently after a surgical excision also. So proper excision of the base is the resection margin is also very much essential in this particular tumor. But it is benign. You do not worry that much. Coming to our last one, which is also very frequently asked tumor as a short note or a very short, Ewing sarcoma, which do occur in younger age group, that is around 5 to 20 years. Okay. One thing I forgot to tell you, in case of giant cell tumor, actually in pathogenesis, you find Rankle gene, RANKL. The Rankle gene is elevated. If you find it, you can test it as a marker. The Rankle gene is highly elevated, which causes the proliferation of the tumor cells. Mononuclear tumor cells all express the Rankle gene. Similarly, here in Ewing sarcoma, it is comprising of sheets of tumor cells which are showing 1122 mutation, that is Ewing sarcoma gene. Actually, this particular tumor is now grouped up, tied up along with the primitive neuroectodermal tumors, that is PNET, and together all these are called as Ewing sarcoma group of tumors. Okay, so it is common in shaft or diaphyseal region of lung bones. Usually they present as painful enlarging masses, but sometimes a young boy of 10 years age group, they present with high-grade fever, elevated ESR, leukocytosis, and anemia with no lesion anywhere. Directly they present with history of fever, elevated ESR, anemia, and leukocytosis, which are very commonly seen in any bacterial infection or any viral infection. The most common tumor, that is Ewing sarcoma, do present with this sort of manifestation, which the clinician don't have any idea that there is some tumor in the bone, because there is no complaint of pain or something like that. We will be misguided by the symptoms. Okay. I have seen one case in that manner actually, where after a lot of investigation for 3 months, the fever was not reducing. Then the patient was underwent a scan and they found out a lesion in a tibia. Okay, but frequently you do see a tender, warm, swollen mass. Okay. In an X-ray, it is a destructive lytic tumor with permeative margins that extend to the surrounding soft tissues, and the characteristic periosteal reaction is in the manner of an onion skin fashion. Okay, you can see here, this is the tumor, this is the lesion with surrounding periosteal reaction. Okay, it is almost nearby in the diaphyseal region. This is the diaphysis. Okay, extending, it is almost in the medullary, extending into the medullary cavity with the location and within the corner. Okay, the tumor cells are very much sheets of round cells. It looks like a lymphoma. Okay, that is why it is one of the type of a round cell tumor. You can see nicely sheets of tumor cells with nicely mitosis. These are all atypical mitosis. I'm sorry. Atypical mitosis, you can see here, everywhere. Nicely, all these darkly spotted ones. The cells have the sheets of tumor cells. Usually, this is a here I don't find any rosette. Actually, I'm searching for it only. Usually, it will be a rosette. Homobrite rosette means it will be a round, a circular arrangement with a central fibrillary material. That will be a true rosette. If it is a pseudo rosette, generally the central place surrounded by the tumor cells, it should be a blood vessel should be here. Here we actually don't find anything, but I'm just to explain you, I have shown that one. But sheets of tumor cells with the, if you see the chromatin also, it is so granular. Inside you have a granular dispersed chromatin in all cells. You are seeing almost monotonous. This is not varying that much in size. Monotonous cells, sheets of monotonous cells, round cells, with occasional pseudo rosettes you do find here. But in the pic there are no pseudo rosettes. So coming to what are the tumors? The non-neoplastic tumors, osteoma, generally in the nasal cavity, fibrous dysplasia, non-neoplastic benign tumors, enchondroma. We didn't discuss this one, but this is one variety of chondromatous tumor, which is a benign one, common in the wrist region. Okay, osteochondroma, chondroblastoma, Paget's disease, so it can occur anywhere, whole body. Okay, similarly. Coming to malignant counterpart, this is osteosarcoma, chondrosarcoma, Ewing's tumor. Nothing, all are not shown here actually, only this here. For the location wise, actually it is given. The pelvic location is common for the chondrosarcoma, whereas osteosarcoma it is the long bones, metaphyseous of the long bones. Okay. So we have completed the class. Please go through it. Any doubts, you please call me. You can ask me. I'm always available on my phone. Okay. Thank you.